Our experiment is based on Bernoulli's theorem, and the first part that we're going to show in this experiment presentation is an overview of the Bernoulli's theorem. The next part will be a little ABC of Bernoulli's theorem explained by Jaswant. The third part will be procedure, which will be explained by Prabhat, and the observation results and graphs will be given by Mokshit and Prajot, respectively. The Bernoulli's theorem states a relation between pressure, velocity, and elevation in a moving fluid. The compressibility and viscosity of the fluid is negligible, and the flow is steady or laminar. Now, why do we need to study this Bernoulli's theorem? Bernoulli's theorem is the principle of energy conservation for ideal fluids in steady or streamline flow, and it is also the basis of many engineering applications. It is used in medical sciences and atomizers. One of the most common everyday application of Bernoulli's theorem is in air flight. The main way that Bernoulli's theorem works in air flight has to do with the architecture of the wings of the plane. In an airplane wing, the top of the wing is somewhat curved, while the bottom of the wing is totally flat.
Basically, Bernoulli's theorem states that the velocity head, the pressure head, and the elevation head, they needs to be constant when a fluid, incompressible fluid, flows through a closed conduit. So there are few restrictions. I mean, few limitations which will be explained by Mokshit later. And the conduit is more like a pipe, and that's it. There are few more other limitations, and it will be explained by Mokshit also. And head, when we say velocity head, it means the velocity. Okay, so yes, as you can see on the screen, there are three heads given. First one is pressure head, and the velocity head, and the elevation head. Okay, so when we talk about the pressure head, it means the pressure energy per unit weight. Basically, we divide the pressure energy to the weight, and same for the velocity and pressure head. I mean potential head. We divide the respective energy with weight. Then we get the respective heads.
In this experiment, we have taken some assumptions. The first assumption is that the flow is steady. The second assumption is that flow is incompressible. Third assumption we took is flow is irrational. And the fourth assumption which we took is fluid is ideal. That means viscosity of the fluid is zero. Now some of the limitations of this experiment. The first limitation is it is applicable to ideal. Second limitation, the heat transfer in this in and out of the fluid should be zero, and the temperature should remain constant so that the internal energy does not change. The third limitation of this experiment is that the effect of pressure of any mechanical device between the two sections is ignored. Now my friend Prabhat will explain the procedure part of this experiment. Thank you.
So this is Prabhat, and I'll guide you through the presentation of how the procedure is carried out or how we perform the experiment. So on the screen you can see the steps. So I would ask just Kanak to go to the next slide where we can see the arrangement of the equipment, so how they are arranged. As we can see in the picture, there is a tank at the base and which has an inlet valve and several manometers which help us in performing the experiment. First of all, we open the inlet valve and allow the water from the supply tank to go to the receiving tank through a tapered inclined pipe. And then we just adjust the flow using an outlet valve to make the head constant in the supply tank. At the constant head, causing the inflow and outflow are equal. After adjusting the flow, we note down the readings of the water level of each piezometer tube, which are nothing but pressure heads at different points of the tapered tube. Then we compute the area of cross-section of tapered pipe at points where the piezometer tubes are located. Now, we take the stopwatch and measure the height of the water collected for a particular time interval. In our case, which would be 10 centimeter, the rise of the water. We calculate the time required for the water to rise till 10 centimeters. And then we note down the measuring tank dimensions. And then we repeat the procedure several times to obtain our values and observations and readings so that we can construct the graph, which would be further explained by Prajot. But I'd like to I'd like to tell you about the formulas used, which would be in the next slide. Kanak, please. Yeah, so the discharge can be calculated by the area of the tank multiplied by the rise in the height of the water column upon the time taken. And then velocity can be calculated by discharge upon the area of the cross section of the piezometer. And the velocity, similarly, the velocity head can also be calculated. And hence, now the Prajot will guide you further in the presentation.
So coming to the experiment part now, here is the thing in which most of us would get stuck. So let us come to here. The experiment on which we performed, it had a bit bug. We didn't knew the area of the tank, whereas the time we performed, it did not provided us the time. So we just had few data assumptions and that too not complete. So we got a table of 100 and the 75 and a resultant table of for 100%. So what is this actually 100% and 75% we are talking about? So it was the opening valve, means the main water flow which you are allowing to enter into our setup. So if you are opening the valve 100%, so that means now we are the stream flow is 100%. So we are calculating for that 100%. And if you close 1/3 of the valve, so then we are calculating it for 75%. So now here are I have done few tabulation for the few of the data that we recorded from the for the 100%. So now this is the distance that is traveled. Now pressure head, this was given to us by our piezometer. Height, that is the height raised. This area, what is this area? This area is the piezometer's diameter. And why are we calculating it? Why is it important to us? Because Kanak, can you just take us one slide back? We are calculating it because we want the velocity, because we got the pressure head reading through piezometer, but we need velocity head. So how are we going to calculate it? Initially, we are going to calculate flow rate, which we are going to substitute into our equation of continuity. And here A, that is divided, that is the area of that piezometer, not using the technical terms. I'm not using technical terms so that each one of us could get this. So that is what we are going to divide it. So this is the basic formula we learned in our +2. Then we are going to calculate our velocity head. Connect, next slide. So now we have our pressure head and velocity head. So what is this total head? Total head is the addition of pressure head, velocity head, and elevation head. Our whole setup was on a constant platform. So the potential energy will remain constant at a single level. If you consider it, considering a single ground, we know that potential energy will be constant, and so potential energy by weight, that is nothing but the elevation head. So that will be constant. So we have considered it 0, and on adding up, we get total head, and then we will plot it. Connect, next slide. So this is what we get a graph. So our graph, what is it actually? Our graph is actually, we have total head and pressure head. We kept it here for the comparison. See, how does it depend? Because it is addition. So see, we can see there is a rise when there is a rise in pressure head also. This is, and the rise here it is because we have added to it, added a velocity head also. And then similarly, we can plot the for velocity head. Connect, next slide. This is our graph for the velocity head. When this and the pressure head, when you can draw these two graphs ideally, separately, and then you can draw a different graph. The red color line our legend total head, that is representing it. So if you go onto it, that is representing our the final graph, that is total head. When you perform the same experiment for 75%, you would also see that the graph that is similar. I can't say exact word because we will be having experimental errors and the natural factors affecting it. So then we will be observing bit errors, and but the graph will look similar like this. So here we conclude our experiment by saying that 100% is equal to the 75%. It's on basis on the graph, not exactly equal. So then when we see this both two terms, we can say that hence our Bernoulli's theorem is verified.